A top WWE star has slammed Vince McMahon for the tone-deaf and embarrassing appearance on SmackDown last night. We saw a huge return on last night's show, and future plans for Roman Reigns have been revealed. Stay tuned. Right, in case you're out the loop, and I doubt you are, Vince McMahon has stepped down as WWE Chairman and CEO. Stephanie McMahon is replacing him as interim chairwoman and CEO of the company. Vince McMahon is still heading up creative. Vince McMahon appeared on last night's SmackDown. Vince McMahon didn't say much. It's a weird one. So this was announced prior to the show starting that Vince McMahon would be there in character to address the WWE universe. It came down. He didn't really say much at all. It's a really weird one, the way that it played out. Like, he comes out and they've got the piped in audio. Yeah. You can see some people go, "No chairs, that's what you got." And you said there were people bowing down.
It's so, there's people bowing down to him, reaching out. Obviously, I feel like, if you're in the crowd, you would try and reach out to Vince McMahon, right? Because he's right there in front of you.
Somebody needs to reach out to him.
Exactly. But again, after something as huge as this, it's like, hello? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual one. He said, WWE's mantra, the tagline is "then, now, forever, together," and that "together's" the really important one. And then he just went like, "Welcome to SmackDown," and that was it. There was no acknowledgement of the ongoing scandal, nothing like that. He comes out, he gets a cheap pop. Interestingly, WWE, for the first time in recent memory at least, have turned off YouTube comments on that particular upload on their channel. I wonder why. Reactions, backstage reactions. This is from Fightful Select, and they state that the reactions that they received from the WWE stars, the talent backstage, ranged from confused and disappointed to enraged. One top talent immediately contacted Fightful and said it was tone deaf and embarrassing, and believed it was his way of putting himself on screen as a power move to lessen the impact of an investigation's findings. And I think that's entirely true.
I think that's exactly what this was about, right?
It is.
Again, as this here says, like, just to lessen the impact of what's going on, because we've all been reporting on it, and it seems incredibly, and it is incredibly, it's incredibly serious, isn't it? And you can't, and I think that's exactly how Vince's mind works, is that, but if I come out and everybody's singing my theme song and everything, it's going to make it feel a lot less than it actually is. Agreed. And it feels as though this is very much a way of Vince saying, "I'm not going anywhere."
Oh, totally. 100%. This was a power move. Carney's gonna Carney.
Yep.
One former top talent told Fightful, said, "I'm happy it didn't last long, so I didn't have to sit through whatever BS he was going to say, but it shows that he has no accountability, especially when something is directly his fault." Whatever your thoughts on the scandal are, and if Vince has used the company money in any way with regards to the raise, like there's no dispute over the fact that he paid his own money as the the hush payment, the NDA and all that. But there is there is a lot of talk around the fact that this particular employee received a big hefty raise around the time that this was all going on that maybe wouldn't be in line with normal company policy. Then this is a massively serious deal, and Vince coming out as a babyface and saying the name of where they're filming tonight, and then "Welcome to SmackDown" and all that stuff. Doesn't seem quite right.
No.
Doesn't seem quite right. Finally, a person who worked with Vince McMahon said they were enraged by the appearance and were hopeful that this type of situation he would handle more seriously. The person sourced was backstage at the show and said that they were incredulous watching it unfold. A few additional notes on how this sort of played out backstage and what the talent and everybody knew about it. It wasn't featured on internal full scripts as of 5:30 Eastern, or the rundown that Fightful gained access to at 7:50 Eastern. One person suggested that the segment didn't happen as originally planned this morning. Vince McMahon was said to have been in a good mood backstage and not outwardly reacting to the investigation. The thing that was repeated to everybody backstage: business as normal.
Wow.
Business as normal.
Wow.
CNBC, Alex Sherman from CNBC made some interesting points in a report here. About why Stephanie is the one to be taking over from Vince McMahon. Alex said, "I'm told that elevating Stephanie to CEO after she just left to focus on family is an optics play to signal Vince McMahon has no intention of stepping down." So basically keep the McMahons there.
Yeah.
Because they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a Sam Driver about this, but I will eat my hat if Vince is permanently gone from the company.
I think so as well.
He'll be back in no time.
Yeah, I think after yesterday, everything was up in the air, and the last few days as well, sort of reporting on this, because it is like, how is everything going to fold out? How is everything going to play out? Sorry, and I think now this is a good indication of where things are going to go. Like, I think if this investigation gets wrapped up, and it will get wrapped up, that Vince will be back in no time.
Regardless of the findings of the investigation?
He came out on Smack. Yeah, he
I
came out
agree.
on Smack. I honestly, I think that he's been through other things as well due to his abhorrent behaviour, and he's come back no matter what. We've said that multiple times, and I honestly think that could very well be the case here too.
There are ways that he could be pressured out, but unless the findings of the report are so damning that happens, he's not going anywhere.
No.
Sherman elaborating on this. This is Alex Sherman, CNBC again. The CEO role is staying in the family. McMahon's daughter Stephanie McMahon will take over as interim chairwoman and CEO. McMahon said in May, Stephanie, this is, that she was pulling back from the bulk of her duties to spend more time with her family. The appointment is a signal that the power structure wouldn't change even as Vince McMahon steps back, according to the person familiar with the matter. So one of their sources saying that. It wouldn't surprise me, right? Vince is stepping down as CEO and chairman. He's still going to be pulling the strings, even with Stephanie there. I imagine any massive decision, and this is taking, honestly, nothing away from Stephanie, who is an accomplished businesswoman, and I'm sure would do a fantastic job. I still think that phone call to Vince might happen for a big decision and be like, or he might just be there anyway.
Well,
it really wouldn't surprise me.
He's supposed to still be factored into creative plans anyway, right?
Yeah, he's still heading up creative. That's not changing at all.
No.
So on screen, things will play out as they were going to play out because it's Vince pulling the strings still.
Yeah, so I think you're right in terms of that there will be probably a call from Vince to Stephanie about how things should go and whatnot. So
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. A massive return last night. Speaking of phone calls, there was no doubt a bit of a panicked phone call following the news that creative is screwed, because the plan was to do Riddle and then Randy and then move on from there. Randy Orton might be out for the rest of the year now. He's hurt. We saw the return of Brock Lesnar. Who has made a lot of money this week.
Lots of money.
There's one man that is happy about this, and that's Brock Lesnar. So after Roman successfully defended his undisputed WWE Universal Championship against Riddle, Reigns cut a promo asking the crowd to acknowledge him. They were about to leave, and then Lesnar's music hits. He comes to the ring, goes to shake Reigns' hand, but of course, F5. Goes without saying. And then the Usos ate an F5 each as well. Lesnar standing tall as the show goes off the air. And then it was confirmed that the match at SummerSlam is now going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. So I feel like that chapter had really ended. I feel like I don't want to see that anymore. I actually enjoyed the last one that they had together. I think it was all right. But we've seen it, haven't we? The problem is, and we'll get to Seth Rollins properly in a little bit, because he seemingly reacted to this on Twitter. Yeah. I feel like this should have been Seth's spot. This could have been a few other people's spots, and not Brock Lesnar, because what else is there to add to that story?
There's not really anything, is there? I think with a lot of them, until Roman drops both belts down the line, presumably to Cody Rhodes. You already know the outcome, right? Yeah. That's the thing. You already know the outcome of what's going to happen. And as you were saying, we've seen this before. We could have had Seth Rollins in there. They've been teasing little tiny things of like Shinsuke Nakamura, something a little bit different, something to pepper in and make Gunther.
I know he's just won the IC belt, but how cool would that be as new champion, him squaring off with Reigns? Just something a bit different.
Exactly, yeah, something a little bit different to get to the point, because I mean, from what I assume, we're kind of getting towards the conclusion of Roman Reigns' reign at this point. I know he's got a little bit longer.
Next year, potentially.
But I mean, we're on that road now, right?
Yeah, for sure. And, there's an end in sight.
Yeah, exactly. And I would have thought to make things, because at the moment for me, especially now that he's sort of off TV a little bit, I would have thought that I'd done something with other people to make it feel a little bit more special. Because it feels like it's kind of petering out now with him being off TV so much.
Listen, as unfortunate as it is, You want to talk about buy rates? Brock's going to sell more tickets, more pay-per-view buys, premium live event buys than Seth Rollins would. And that's an unfortunate reality because Brock is the biggest star, even though the match and the story would be better with Seth Rollins.
Yes. Before
we move on to Seth Rollins' reaction, few backstage details behind the Lesnar return. Fightful Select once again. Word started to emerge this afternoon, that's yesterday, shortly before 5 p.m. EST, that Lesnar could be returning. But once again, he wasn't featured on internal rundowns that were handed out just before the show. For those asking if this was reactionary after the Vince McMahon investigation, we are told about 3 weeks ago plans were put in place for Lesnar's return. I think it might have been fast-tracked.
I think so. With everything, with all the injuries and stuff happening as well, I think it has been fast tracked.
And I think the investigation, personally speaking, and this is one man's opinion, I think that might have taken place sooner than planned.
Yes.
So Seth Rollins, who is clearly upset about not being in that title picture after doing some incredible work over the last few years, putting people over like mad, making everybody look grand. He just took to Twitter with one of those emojis, obviously frustrated about the situation. Seth, it should have been you, mate.
It should have been you, pal. There's so much still to go off. The finish, it was it Royal Rumble that they had the match? I can't even remember anymore. Royal Rumble where they had the match, and it ended very strangely.
Oh, there's loads to play off.
Yeah,
there's so much to play off.
And it should have been that. That would have been an amazing main event at SummerSlam.
Yeah, there you go. We'll get there. We'll get there. There are some people calling for Seth to be the one to dethrone Roman. For me, it's nobody but Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I think that too. I think Seth potentially wins the Money in the Bank.
Actually, yeah.
And then
Cody should beat Roman and then Seth cashes in immediately after.
Thinking.
That'd be really good, wouldn't it? Put the focus on Seth, Cody, then the babyface chasing the titles again. I'd like that immediately as well. Finally, an update on Roman Reigns' upcoming schedule. This is from The Observer. So after last night, the schedule for Reigns over the next 3 months is SmackDowns on the 24th of June and the 8th. Where am I here? I hate American dates.
No, you're right. You are
24th of June.
Yeah. 8th
and then
the
8th of July, the 22nd of July, building for SummerSlam. And then the one Raw that he's doing this summer is the 25th of July in MSG. And he's also booked for SummerSlam and Clash of the Castle, of course. So that's Reigns' schedule. He's there for, 5, maybe 6, 5 days.
Yeah. Make them count, pal.
Yeah, right. You know what? I'm getting a bit tired of it. Fair play to him. He wants to spend time with his family and everything. I'm just frustrated that the champion's not there. We had enough of that with Brock.
We did.
We really, really did.
We did.
So yeah, Americans, change your dates because it's really confusing and it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, does it?
Why would the month go first? Sorry, Americans. Love you all in a way. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back with more news. There's balls load to talk about. See you in a bit.